Hi, I'm Laura Gavanter back for video number 2. In the last video, I talked about what Psych K is and how it could transform past stress triggers as well as shift limiting beliefs to ones that are more empowering that will serve you better in your life and what you want to create. So now I want to talk a little bit about what actually happens in a Psych K session. So they're actually different depending on whether I'm working with someone in person versus remote sessions, which I do by Zoom video conferencing. When I do a session in person, I am actually doing the muscle testing on the person themselves. When I do remote sessions, which is predominantly how I work these days, I actually do the muscle testing on myself for you. You are doing it with me, but I am muscle testing myself. And so it's a big difference. It's a lot more experiential when you're actually being muscle tested on, and you could actually see the difference. But I have to tell you, it is just as powerful whether I'm doing remote sessions or whether I'm doing them in person. So I just wanted to lay that out because the structure of the session is different. The outcome is pretty much the same. So what happens is, I've received back an intake form of what issues a client would like to work on. What this does is it gives me some background. It also lets me see if there are any patterns in different areas of the life or things that are coming up that I can connect and really focus on what it is this person wants to work on. Because many times what it appears on the surface is not really what the issue is. So by getting this information beforehand, I can kind of do an overall assessment. Then when we're actually in the session itself, I can ask further questions and kind of clarify to see if what I'm intuiting is actually correct. So once we decide on the area of the focus for the session, we come up with some goal statements, which are beliefs, just another term for beliefs, around this particular area. But before I even do that, I want to see if there's stress around this topic. Because what happens is if there is some stress on just the thought of this topic, the body will react. So once we can transform the stress, we can then go in and we can create goal statements that are going to be empowering to support this person and the shifts that they want to make. So I'll give you an example. A subject that comes up very often with clients would be the topic of money. So first, just say there's someone who, no matter how much money comes in, it quickly leaves. They can't seem to hold on to it. They can't just seem to make more than what their initial needs are at that time. So I will have them think about not having enough money. And muscle test, if it's weak, we go through the steps, which are just about 6 or 7 steps that we go through to actually change the perception of the situation so that there is no longer stress around it. Then we post-test, and now we see that there is no longer stress, which is, it only takes exact minutes to do. It's really, really miraculous in the short amount of time that you could have a major impact. We then will go to the goal statements, and it's a little different procedure with this, but we find out it is safe and appropriate to make this change because we don't do anything that your superconscious, your higher knowing, does not agree that it's in your best interest, which is the kind of the checks and balances of the system. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm facilitating a process with you, with your superconscious, which knows what's best for you, because I don't know what's best for you. Nobody else knows. Your superconscious knows. So once we get permission, we now go into what's called a whole brain state, which means the right and left hemispheres are in communication. They're in alignment. When they're in that state, the subconscious is less resistant to receiving new information. So when we're in this whole brain state, which is just a matter of getting into a certain physical state, and we actually check, we muscle test to find out what the best formation is for you. We get into this state, and then we do the balance, which means we repeat over and over again. Basically, it's almost like writing it in. It's like saying an affirmation when you're in a position for your subconscious to receive this information. We say it until if I'm doing it for someone else, then I get the signal that we're done. Again, we post-test, we find out now, does your subconscious believe this to be true for you? Then we will go through this for the other goal statements. The last part of the process is for every goal statement, we need to take an action. And the reason why we do this is that we want to have the conscious mind on board with what now we've just kind of put into the subconscious. So it's to have the conscious on board with what's in the subconscious. And also, if you don't take some sort of action, how will you know that anything's shifted? So there's some action that you agreed to take. We discuss this. You commit to when you're going to take it. The session is done. And that's pretty much it. So I thank you for tuning in. And in the next video, we're actually going to be demonstrating a live mini Psych K session, which will be really interesting to see the before and after and to get feedback. So I hope you will join us for that. Thank you so much.